But yeah, that's the current state of Lego DC is they're walking on eggshells, and Lego's only going to make sets for Batman that they know are going to sell. They're not taking any risks with the DC theme right now.
Thought you were going to say the current state of DC is Eternals got 5 sets and Superman got 0.
I mean, does that sum it up pretty well?
Yep.
But that's more a Marvel versus DC.
Hello, bricks, chicks, and minifigures. You are listening to AFOLs Welcome, where we talk about all things Lego from the perspective of 2 adult collectors. We are your co-host. I'm Grinch.
And I'm Cat.
And today we are talking about the current state of DC Lego. But before we do that, as a reminder, it always helps the show to like, subscribe, review, or share with the fellow AFOL, and we always appreciate that if you do. We also put chapters in the description of every episode, so if you want to skip to a certain part, you can find that information below. And with that out of the way, Kat, it's time to banter over some bricks. How was your week?
It was okay. Excuse me, as you know, I've been a little bit under the weather this week, so I apologize if my voice is still a little crackly. But we were able to sit down and work on those sets that we had purchased that were not Lego branded sets. So I do have some thoughts on those.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Lumi bricks. We got a Lumi brick set that I hadn't ever really dealt with before. So that was interesting. You know, they all have the light feature, which is nice. I personally really liked their direction book because it was very specific and detailed. Like even for smaller bricks or tiles, I think it was like a 1x4 tile, maybe, or a plate. So maybe that's why they did it, because it didn't, have the little circles. They wrote like 1x4 next to it so that you knew it was like the 4 long. I don't know. I think it's helpful if you're new to building or you're a kid, obviously, to have extra instructions. And, it didn't come with batteries, so that was on my cons list. You still needed to provide that to actually put it up. I wasn't great at physically stringing the lights through they make like special little bricks that the light cord can go through, which is nice, but they almost need like a little, I don't know, pokey tool to stick it down so it like lays flat and you can get that tile piece over it. And then, my only other thought with them was, I don't know how I would display it. Like if it always has lights, do you always leave the lights on? Do you just, I don't know, set it to a timer? It seems like an important part of the set. And so I was intrigued about how people display that. I'd like to know if you're a Lumi brick collector. Let me know how you display your sets.
If you're a Lumi brick enjoyer. I thought it was okay. It reminded me more of Mega Block than Lego. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. It's just Mega Block has kind of always had, it was always kind of second fiddle and always had a pretty decent product. Like there was never like anything wrong with it. But they use a little bit of a firmer, harder ABS plastic. So the bricks, when you click them together, it's funny, they're either like really together or not super well together. I guess it leads itself to its quality. So like the quality is at best on par with Lego, at worst just a little bit worse, and nothing, not like some like the AliExpress type of of quality that you get out there. So that's not like it's not so much the quality that's bad necessarily. The one thing I didn't like about the lights was there was a sticker light for one of them. It was like an LED. We had the sunset stopover, and so when I disassembled it, you have to. It's kind of like having a sticker over multiple bricks. Like you have to kind of like take that off, and it left some residue on there, which was a little bit annoying. I did break one of the lights taking it off, like just totally accidental. And the other thing I didn't like about it was it didn't come with batteries, which is not like that big of a deal, but it's kind of annoying because now, like, if we wanted to use the lights, we would have had to get a couple of AA's, and we also would have had to get one of those little button batteries. So while it feels like a great deal to get like lights and all that, you still do need batteries. It's not like they're rechargeable. And so it probably would have added like $10 worth of batteries, which again, it's still, that's what you'd expect the set to be priced at if it were Lego and it came with lights in that case, right? Some things I did like were that there was prints. I've got my list here. The torsos rotated. So on the figure itself, like the torso piece would rotate on a swivel left to right, which was kind of different for, good for posing. The things that I disliked were the minifigures themselves, or whatever they're called. All of the pieces came disassembled. So like, whereas Lego would have had arms, hands, and a torso, that is technically considered one piece. It's a subassembly. And so on the box, so it counts towards one piece. In this case, a minifigure counts towards 10 or so pieces to 12 pieces, depending on what all they come with, because you put the hand on, the arms on, and then they come with extra arms in case you break them. So the piece count is a little bit inflated, not a ton, but maybe inflated by about 5% because of that, because you do get some of those extra pieces. So it's just another way to kind of just chip at like this perceived extra value. But the prints are great, right? So when you factor in that you get lights, personally, lights don't really do anything for me because, like, to your point, it's a little bit of a nuisance. Like if you're displaying it at home, like you've got to turn on the lights. If you've got it behind something, you've got to move whatever the thing is. You can't just leave them on. You got to turn it off. So like, I just don't really use it unless you're trying to, like, I don't know, display something and in all of its glory, but you're not typically doing that at home like you do that at a convention. So for me, I kind of like mock building to kind of be the star of the show as far as Lego lights go, but I get it. Some people like it. That's totally fine. Yes, the biggest thing was just how tight some of the bricks were when they clicked together. They did feel really tight. It just led me to wonder, in a year or two, do those bricks, will they end up cracking? But it did feel like a harder plastic, so it's kind of like back in the Mega Block days, where it's like you can kind of tell the pieces are apart a little bit. In some colors, it was certainly harder than others, and it wasn't all that super firmer plastic. But I can see why people like it. It's not necessarily for me. Just, I don't know. I'm a Lego fanboy. I do think it's interesting that Lumi Bricks recently announced a Blade Runner collaboration. And so this set, it's the spinner set, and comes with lights like Lumi Bricks does. It's got the weird figure, but it's about $10 more than the set that we bought. And so I do wonder, if they start to get into the world of IP, do you start to see some of that difference? Because right now it feels like maybe 20 to even 30% cheaper than Lego with lights and prints. This Blade Runner set seems like it's the same price as Lego with lights and with prints. And if that's the case, I think you do start to maybe scrutinize the quality a little bit more. You do kind of start to question things a little bit differently, because I think when you and I were talking, I was like, hey, if you spent the same amount of money on this as you would on a Lego set, would you buy a Lego set or would you buy this? And then we were both kind of like, I would just still buy the Lego set. So it feels like you only necessarily buy this because it's cheaper, not necessarily because you like it more. And that's just, again, our opinion on that. But I did think that was interesting. The other set that we had was kind of kind of a mistake. It was the brand, I guess I'm looking at it on Amazon right now, is HJPLPXH, and it was called Magic
Exactly.
Medieval Castle Architecture Building Block Set, and it was Lego compatible. It is not Lego compatible. The reason I got it was because it was 1,555 pieces, and it was $30, and I was like, oh, this will be interesting. It was scaled down by a factor of 2 or 3 compared to Lego.
So tiny.
It was tiny. And
it was like hard to see, like the like 1x1 pieces. Like, oh my Lord, it was hard to find those pieces out of a pile when you're trying to find what you need. And I feel like they did short us on a couple of pieces.
I do think we were missing a couple pieces.
Yeah, I just never found. But maybe they're just so tiny, like, who knows? Maybe they fell off the table and we just never saw them again.
Yeah, this was an oversight on mine. It did come with a light that did come with batteries, so that was interesting. But it was pretty small. It still felt like a pretty good deal, and the quality wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. Again, these actually felt maybe a little bit more like Lego bricks. They were a little looser or a little flimsier, but not in a good way. Some of them were very tight. Some of the pieces actually felt very, very cheap, though. Specifically the round 1x1s. I don't know what it was. They just felt like they were a whole different type of plastic. But I kind of wanted to give shout out to whoever designed the set. It was kind of a cool set, to be honest. Like, first of all, it's clearly a ripoff of Harry Potter, and it's also clearly a ripoff of Rivendell, because they have the Rivendell style of roof, mixed with like a Harry Potter Great Hall castle. No minifigures. I guess these would have been ultra minifigures. I mean, maybe a size between a minifigure and a nanofigure. It was an interesting system, nonetheless. What did you think about this set?
Like you said, I liked the overall design. Like when we got the box, I was like, oh, this looks like really cool. And then we realized it was teeny tiny. So that was difficult for me. I feel like I wouldn't give it to maybe even older kids because the pieces are so small. And the directions were not as clear. You know, it was like a lot of steps at once type directions, which is fine. And like I can figure it out. But definitely, I think it'd be difficult if you were a child. And I think they didn't snap together as well and like hold together as well as even the Lumi bricks, and definitely not as well as Lego. But on the plus side, it came with a teeny tiny brick separator, which was the cutest thing I'd ever seen, because it was also to the teeny tiny scale. So they had that going for it.
Yes, it was. So I think what we're going to do, as our commenter suggested, is just get rid of them because they're not for us. Rather than just throw them away, though, we will just do them as a giveaway. And so what we will do is now, between the end of September, so that would be September 30th, leave a review on iTunes. We cannot see, so you have to like actually write the review, or if you send us a screenshot either through Instagram or at our email in the description, we will pick a random review between now and the end of September, and the winner will be sent both of these sets just for free, for fun. They're yours. Have fun with them, build them, throw them away, whatever you want to do with them. And like I said, there is going to be a little bit of that sticker light residue on the Lumi brick set. But I think to kind of summarize my opinion, Kat, the only reason I would necessarily buy them is because they're a little bit cheaper than Lego. Otherwise, I would stick with Lego personally. And yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. You know, maybe if you have kids that are just blowing through and destroying Lego, it might be a good option. But like I said, I don't know. That nanoscale one is almost
That's
too
like a
small. I
super
think it would
choking
be
hazard.
a super choking hazard. And also, I think it would just be difficult for kids, and they would 100% lose like 80% of those pieces because they're so small. So, yeah, stick with Lego for me as well.
Well, I think we did have a build box sell.
Yes, I was just going to say. So, our question this week for you in build box or sell is going to be between the first modular of 3 different series. So, first set is Cafe Corner, Ninjago City, or the Daily Bugle. Go.
All right, so it is the first of each modular series. Oh, Ninjago City. God, I love Ninjago City. What's the equivalent to marry? Because I would marry Ninjago City. So I would build Ninjago City because it's just a really fun build. Of those 3, it is definitely the best build. If I had to sell one of them or keep one of them in the box, I would, even though I think technically Ninjago, well, I guess Cafe Corner is the most valuable, but if you do like value gained per year, I think Ninjago wins that. I would sell Cafe Corner, which may come as a surprise because, to be honest, Cafe Corner, there's nothing really super special or exclusive with that set. I believe like the instruction booklet is like $150 or $200 because it's like so rare. But as far as the set goes, there's a lot of brittle brown, there's a lot of brittle red, so you'd probably want to replace that. And it's kind of plain, but it was back in the day when modulars were meant to be just very plain Jane and just kind of a thing. Like you were supposed to maybe buy 4 of them, make a super kind of corner unit. You were supposed to decorate the inside. There's really nothing actually even on the inside. I think this is one that you could modernize yourself. I mean, obviously I'd want to keep all 3 of these sets, which was what makes this so difficult, but I guess I can't believe I'm saying I'd have to sell Cafe Corner, and I would keep Daily Bugle in box because I know there's some rumors out there, but I don't know the next time we're going to get a modular Daily Bugle to that scale. Maybe in 10 years, so that might be a good one to keep in box for a little bit. Get rid of it at some point, but there's some exclusive figures, Punisher, Daredevil, stuff like that, so I would keep that one in the box.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sad about Cafe Corner, though.
I'm surprised by the instruction booklet cost.
Because it's like so the random. Only exclusive part of the set is the instruction booklet. So like that and the box are like super valuable. And because, that, and even like Green Grocer, like there was some Green Grocer, there was some bricks that just were never reused in Sand Green, but they have been recently. So like, yeah, but there's nothing super exclusive about it outside of that. So yeah, sell it, man. But I don't want. I don't want to sell it. Did I make the wrong choice?
These are the tough decisions you have to make.
Life is so hard, everybody. My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. Well, why don't we head over to some exciting Lego news? Exciting Lego news.
All right. So this week, there have been some new changes that are live on the Lego Insiders Reward Center. So check those out. Might be easier than ever to redeem your rewards. New late August 2026 Lego promotions are live on the Lego shop. So if you need to do any more end of the summer shopping, now's your time. Lego One Piece Netflix special official trailer has dropped. The Bricks and Minifig reached a settlement with the Mansell family. Hot news. And finally, the Lego DC Batman Returns Batmobile was officially announced. So what are you most excited for this week, Grinch?
Well, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the Batmobile in the main topic today, so we'll save thoughts for the almost 2-hour episode on DC. Bricks and minifigures, they did reach a settlement, which is good with the family. So the family did get their money for the sets. And I still have thoughts. I know I haven't shared a lot of the thoughts on the podcast. There's a couple things I do want to call out. Part of that is because I just want more information. Like, it does not say how much the family was compensated. Infamously, it was like a $200,000 Lego Star Wars collection. And like the CEO of Bricks Minifigures came back when it was like, well, actually, it's like only $180,000. So it's totally different. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, what's called rounding, my dude. So it doesn't say how much they were compensated for. My worry, too, is that the wrong lesson will be taken away. Like, I think they're going to go after the family that owned the store previously and did the consignment deal, because there's a lot about like, oh, we'll need to make sure that our franchise owners follow our standard code of procedure. Like, they didn't necessarily do it. I mean, they did do something wrong, but they didn't like, the root of the issue was not because that family did this. It was because of how the response occurred after the fact, sort of thing. So they did expand their board. They're going to have a franchise voice on that. So hopefully some good can come from this, from everybody's suffering. But I hope it's not at the expense of the franchise owners, because after all, they are just kind of the average person involved in this that is kind of secondarily affected by it. But I don't know. What was your thoughts there?
I mean, I'm glad they reached a settlement and got something at least. Because my first thought was just that they were kind of SOL on this situation. So I'm glad that they got something. But like you said, it does kind of set a precedent going forward for these types of situations. So I'm interested to see if they, make any changes kind of on their franchise rules or how they're going to go about this for the future. I think it's a really unique situation. I don't know how often that actually happens.
It doesn't. It's against their terms.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just, it was such a random situation in the first place. I don't know.
And that's what worries me, because they're kind of like, we'll make sure that we'll make sure franchise owners follow our terms in the future. And it's like, okay, but you guys were the mean people, not not necessarily the original franchise. Like, it's because you guys came in. The issue was because corporate came in and said, like, this doesn't exist. And like, that's what caused issues, not because the franchise owner did a consignment deal. You could say it is because they did that because they weren't supposed to, but it was how you handled that piece that was the issue. So there's some language in here where I'm like, okay. So I think more info needed and time will tell, sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I did want to talk a little bit about the upcoming, or not upcoming, but there's been some gift with purchase kind of announcements here for the end of August that are kind of interesting. I want to make sure I clearly say this so that there's no confusion on the listener's part, because some people may hear something and be like, oh my gosh, what? A few random high-value gift with purchases are returning. The Botanical Garden gift with purchase is returning now through October 1st. If you are in the EU, in the UK only, the Koenigsegg Sadir's Spear is live until August 28th. Pokemon Trainer Supply is live until August 28th. Sonic Get Polybag is live until August 28th. And then the Lord of the Rings Grand is live until August 28th with the purchase of Minas Tirith, only in Australia and New Zealand. So interesting. that there are some random returns of some of these gift with purchases, specifically the botanicals entrance gate and that Grand.
Do you think they had leftovers, or are
Probably.
they reprinting these? Okay.
Probably leftovers, just because it's regionally. My guess is they maybe had leftovers at some Lego stores. What'll happen sometimes is that, and then they'll cut it off. And I believe they're supposed to send them back in. So they probably got them all back in. The botanical set is a little bit interesting because that was a year ago now, whereas Grand was only a few months ago. So it's kind of like, I don't think they reprinted them, but maybe the botanical ones they did. It's a little bit of a bigger market. Who knows? I did want to talk a little bit more about some pretty big changes actually on the Insider Rewards Center. And at first glance, these might not be that big of a deal, but it is some very nice quality of life adjustments here. So the rewards, you can now just add them right to cart inside the Reward Center, inside the Insider Center. Prior, I don't know if you know this, you used to actually get a code emailed to you. You would take that code, you'd have to add something into your cart, and then you'd have to put the code in like it was a promo code, and then it could add it in. Now you can just hit add to cart. You still have to purchase something, but you can now just redeem it that way, which is, it's one click versus like 3 clicks and going to an external email to get a code and then applying the code. Sort of thing. You can also now add up to 3 of these to your cart at once. Not necessarily the individual item, but if you wanted to get the poster, the whatever set, and a mug or coin or whatever the Insider Rewards is, you can add up to 3 different rewards to your cart at once, whereas before it was only 1 per purchase. So if there's 2 things you wanted, you had to make 2 purchases. So these are actually some pretty big changes that are kind of exciting.
Yeah, I think it would make it way easier to actually use the rewards that you're earning by spending so much there. So I appreciate that they've put thought into that and kind of updated their system there.
Well, there's also times where you're just like, I didn't want to necessarily purchase something, or
exactly,
I wanted these 3 things, but then it like goes out of stock. So then you have to make like 3 separate things, because 3 separate purchases because you want to get the reward. Like, it shouldn't be difficult. It's supposed to be reward. I'm glad that it's easy.
Exactly.
All right. Well, why don't we get our guest in the episode, and we will see you on the other side. Today's topic. All right, so today we are joined by Crypto Bricks, also known as Kevin, and we are talking about DC and the current state of Lego DC. But before we do that, as is tradition, Crypto Bricks, welcome to the show. How did you become an AFOL?
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. My AFOL story, it's kind of a long, drawn out one. I wasn't one who just discovered it one day and went all in. I know like some people do, a month later they have a shelf full of Lego, but no, mine was kind of drawn out. But funny enough, the theme or the wave that got me back into Lego, being even though I'm a superhero fan, was the reboot of Harry Potter in, what was that, 2018? And I think
very nice.
So I had, we had our first child in 2016. So I think that helped. You had a lot more time at home, and then you start to, you're looking in the toy aisle a lot more when you have a kid to spoil and stuff. So I started to see more things, and then I discovered that they, came out with a whole new wave of Harry Potter. And being the kind of collector or completionist that I am, it's kind of nice to start with something fresh. They a new wave of sets that you can pick up and not have to go back and collect 5 years worth of sets that they've already come out with. So I think that was my jumping off point, and it was slow. I'd get one here or there and then as a gift or for Christmas, and some of the bigger ones like the big main haul for that Harry Potter wave for the Hogwarts Castle collection. And then like I said, I like to be, if I'm going to collect something, I kind of want all of it. So I stayed in my lane for Harry Potter for quite a while, until until some new sets came out. And I think the two that really broke the Harry Potter niche was the Home Alone Ideas House came out. So Home Alone being my favorite Christmas movie and like one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, I grew up in the Chicago area. My name is Kevin. Like, grew up in the 90s, like Home Alone.
Just resonated. You were left at home one Christmas and had robbers try to break into your house.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Classic.
Yeah. So that one, that was the first big set, and I'll say big being probably over $150, over $200. So that Home Alone one, like I remember being in the Lego store buying it and like being so anxious, like I'm spending over $200 on a Lego set right now. This is crazy. And it was, my birthday is in December, and Christmas in December, so that was the justification for it. And I think that same year the Daily Bugle came out, and so it was just like those two were what I was like, all right, I'm going to expand. There's some cooler stuff going on here. And obviously the Marvel modulars and just superhero modulars kept going year after year after that. And that was what really, really broke it and kind of went all in. I stay pretty true though to Harry Potter and the superhero theme. But yeah, I never would have thought, 3-4 years later, I would have been where I was. So yeah, kind of just going back, like I collected sets just and built them myself. Like I wasn't in the community, wasn't watching Lego YouTube or anything until I think 2019, like right before even the pandemic. I started watching YouTubers, Lego YouTubers, and seeing, getting the updates, the new releases, all the news coming out. And then it was kind of his history from there. 2023, I think, is the first year I went to Brick World Chicago, and I just went as a public attendee. And then the year after that, went as an AFOL, as a badge attendee for just the weekend, and then the next year went for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then the next year went for the full week. So
I'm sensing a theme here a little bit. There's a saying, right? Diving off the deep end or jumping off the deep end, but I get the vibe that you kind of like to maybe walk down the pool stairs where it's 3 or 4 feet deep and hang out there for a little bit, and then get out, sprint over to the other side, and jump right in off the high dive, sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess I'm like that in all parts of my life. Like it takes me a while
to smart. Yeah.
To pick up something new. I'm hesitant to change, and I don't know. I guess I'm older at heart than what I am. Pretty stubborn and stuck in my comfort zone. And it takes a lot to push me out of it.
But when you commit, right?
Yes, right.
I believe that's called being mature, and not impulsive.
Yes, yeah. Whatever the opposite of impulsive, that's me. But I made it here. Same result. Just took longer than probably most people.
It's about the journey, and I think that's why we ask, because it's usually the first question when we have a guest, right? Is how did you become an AFOL? And it's for such a simple question, you get some answers that are similar, but sometimes you get answers that are radically different, and sometimes you get like. Seems like you and I are at a similar spot as far as fandom goes, right? It's as far as but the journey on how we got there. I did a lot of Lego as a kid, got out of it because I was too cool for it, but then I kind of always stayed adjacent because I watched a lot of YouTube. And then I kind of totally got out of it, started dating my wife. You know, I was way too cool for Lego at that point in time. And then I kind of went head first. And then I kind of was like going through my YouTube subscriptions, and it was like, you know, I remember one night when I just got back into Lego, it was, I had got the Winter Village set, I had got a Doctor Strange set, and I was going through YouTube and I was like, oh, cool. I'm already subscribed to like this guy called Jang Bricks and this other guy called Solid Brick Studios. I used to watch him build this cool Kashyyyk mock, and like, whereas you kind of got into that part of it a little bit later, and I actually went to conventions as a kid. You know, I was a child attendee at Brick Fair back in 2000 and X.
And 2000 single digit.
yeah. And then now I go and, you know, present my mocks, and there's a kid, you know, so it's just we ended up in the same spot. It's just how you get there is different. I think that's what makes the community so special, right? So glad you're here, and I think it's nice too that you've got some restraint, because there's a lot of sets out there, and you're right, you just can't get everything. So
yeah, I won't say I feel the FOMO a lot, and I just have to redirect it to to the themes and the sets I know I'm going to get. So I try.
How do you manage that FOMO? We're going to do a episode here in the near future on building on a budget. It was recommended at Brick World by one of our listeners, and I've been excited to do it. I've just been kind of pacing through the notes, but let's set an early plant for that. How do you manage the FOMO? Because especially some of these themes, the superhero themes, I'd say more so Star Wars and Lord of the Rings typically have this issue, but there are some cool gift with purchases. I'm looking at like X Mansion. I know that's not DC, it's superheroes, had like the
Cerebro,
Cerebro, right? And so how do you manage that?
So definitely like gift with purchases, and whether I want it or not, usually can justify some purchases. So if it is an exclusive one to a set, I know I'm going to get, like the X Mansion. I did get, day one because that gift with purchase came with it. And then there's, just other gift with purchases that I know other people are going to be really interested in. So what was the last one? The castle boat. What was that?
Oh, the serpent.
Yeah, the serpent. So I knew, people would want that. Yeah. So I made one order and got one of those, and I actually bought a lot of my pieces for my mock I'm presenting next weekend. So I just kind of had those in my cart ready to order for when there was something to justify it. So using gift with purchases, and like, I know there's a lot of hype around, especially that one, but like, I don't collect Castle. I only really like the classic space theme of any of the classic Legos. So, but I knew people would want it, and it would be a quick flip, to make some money back. So kind of just being smart about knowing you're going to want a set. And I have a lot of guidelines on sets that I'm going to buy. So I typically try to, definitely before I build it, most of the time before I buy a set, I need to have a space to put it. So if I'm out of shelf space, I need to rearrange things definitely before I build a set. And then, then I just look at I kind of know the history of just being in the Lego space for, over 6 years now of, is this set ever probably going to go on sale? Like if it's a direct to consumer from lego.com, probably not. Double points is going to be the best you'll get. So that one, if I know I'm going to want it, then it's not a big deal to buy it early on. But then a lot of the superhero sets, especially, mostly Marvel now, but the smaller ones that, are going to be at Target, Meijer, Walmart, Barnes and Noble. Those you can wait on a sale because they're going to go on sale at some point, usually around the holidays. So really, but I think just the biggest overarching theory or plan is just knowing the sets that you actually will like not trying to convince yourself that you're going to love something because everybody else loves it. Because I'll talk about in the flip side of not giving or having FOMO after the fact, because I guess there wasn't really the hype at the time. The Batcave Shadow Box that came out, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So everybody, all the reviews and everything of that one were pretty bad. There wasn't hype around it. Everyone thought it just looked like a big black box that's going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. And so I kind of gave into that and was like, yeah, I don't need that one. And then it retired pretty quick, and now it's gone up 2.5 times what what it used to be. And it's really a set that I would enjoy. It's a minifig scale set, has a lot of play features, has display options, has exclusive minifigures. Just has a lot going on with it, and I think I gave in to the opposite of FOMO and bought into the lack of interest people had in it and let that change my opinion when I would have really enjoyed it, because I have talked to people who have built it and they said it's a great build too. So I think it's just you just got to be honest with yourself and what you actually like, and not just enjoy things because everybody else does.
Yeah, that's good advice. I talked about on the show before too. The gift with purchase, I've kind of just embraced the FOMO a little bit of I know I'm gonna have FOMO for gift with purchases. So rather than buy every Lego set day one and then there'd be gift with purchase Sea Serpent, and be oh crap, now I got to go buy something I already have. What am I gonna or buy something I don't actually want? I've got no concern about not buying a set on day one. And so the Nintendo Game Boy, for example, I'm hyped for that set. I really want to get it. I just still haven't yet because I'm just waiting for a gift with purchase. So we had a Lego store grand reopening and they had a few gift with purchases there. And one of the gift with purchases is selling for $100 because it's the super exclusive. There's only 150 for every, or maybe it's 500 for every new store that opens. It's the day one.
Oh.
And so I just got the Jurassic Park Jeep to meet the threshold. Okay. Got that set. Very excited to build the Jurassic Park Jeep, but I just waited for it because I knew that there would be a time where I had FOMO. So I just have a wish list. And the nice part about having a wish list is sometimes, it's currently in the thousands of dollars. Sometimes it creeps up pretty high, and I'm okay, let's. This has been on the wish list for a year now. I don't need it. Delete it. There's these other things I want more. It's okay. And that way I try to have more responsibility with the sets that I buy versus the gift with purchase part of it. And that way, when it is an exciting gift with purchase, you can just buy it.
Right. Yeah. And most of us have that wish list of we have something. If we do see a gift with purchase where we can easily meet the threshold without trying too hard. But, and then especially, you're a mock builder too. So that's always the option.
Always get bricks and pieces. Yep.
Just get pieces. Yeah. Cause I don't know about you, but Bricklink's great. You can get pieces on there, small quantities of what you want, but I just hate paying multiple shipping charges for little orders or even big orders when I can pay a little extra, get the points, maybe get a gift with purchase, get free shipping from Lego, and they're brand new, perfect condition. So anyway, but that Sea Serpent, I did, I got that and I sold it on eBay. I always basically just look at whatever the recent sale prices are and drop it, 10-15% so I can sell it quickly and let somebody get it who wants it. And then it's, that's just money back in my pocket because it was free. The gift with purchase was free to me. So, I try to be fair. I'm not in it to buy 200 of them or whatever, and flip them all or do something wild with them.
I know we're not talking about gift with purchases, and I feel like this always happens when we bring it up on the show. We start to go on tangents, and I was just thinking about this the other day, and I have an MBA. I kind of do business strategy, like that's what I typically do, and it's so like Lego's strategy with gift with purchases. Like I respect the hell out of it. Like it. Like a lot of brands can't do that, right? Like if you go and buy Kraft mac and cheese, cereal brands used to do it. They'd throw the toy in there or something, and you'd be like, "Oh, I want the Star Wars light up spoon for episode 1. It's going to be an awesome collector's item," and maybe not. But Lego has done this thing where it's like, "Hey, here's a $30 set. We're going to give it for you for free," and people see $100 of value potentially. But for Lego to actually produce that thing, like if they're operating on a 50% margin, a net margin after operational margin, like that set must have cost them $10 to produce. And so they're giving you $30 off in value that you're perceiving as $100, and you're spending, and you as the company are spending $10 on it. It's like, wow, just good job.
And they're getting, all of us to buy direct from them, because clearly they're going to make the most margin when you buy direct from a Lego store, Lego.com. Yep. Whereas if you're buying the same thing from Target on a discount, like they're not seeing that same money.
Yep. Yeah. So
but my favorite strategy they pull is the December gift with purchase one, where they always have two, and they do it like December 1st and then December 12th
right before
or something.
Christmas.
They'll do another one.
Yep. After Black Friday too, and then they've got the November 1st release that comes out. Then they got their Black Friday release, and then it's like, oh, however, if you want this year's exclusive winter gift with purchase, and you're just right back in there.
They got us. I mean, and we all have our list, so they know we're just going to buy something that we were going to wait for that we don't need right away. But it's like, oh, well, or you grab another gift for somebody and, you get a free Christmas set with it. So they're smart. They're
doing something
decisions right, and making people in positions making a lot of money to make those choices.
That's right. That's right. So Crypto Bricks, Kevin, favorite set, favorite theme?
Yeah, so if you go to my Instagram, I mean, I think you'll easily see my favorite theme is superheroes, and luckily I don't have to pick between DC and Marvel, because technically superheroes is the theme, at least on Brickset or under Lego. So that from what I've heard, they split the budget, so it's just superheroes, and Marvel gets some set and DC gets sets. So if I had to pick between DC and Marvel, it's tough because I'm a way bigger DC fan. It's just Lego doesn't prioritize them right now, which I'm sure we'll get into. But so definitely superheroes, and then like I said, Harry Potter is favorite second theme. And then favorite sets. This one's always tough. So I don't know if I can pick one. So I have a top 5 that I always go with. So Daily Bugle, Avengers Tower, the Stranger Things Upside Down house, the Home Alone house, and Gringotts would be my top 5. So I can never imagine having to part with those. Like if we had to completely downsize and get rid of everything, like I would keep those 5, and I could not get rid of them.
Is the 5? Is it about the top 5, or is it about those 5 specific sets? So if there was a 6th set that entered the realm of your favorite, I don't know, let's pretend Lego came out with like a Daily Planet modular and it was just so cool or something like that. Would it now be a top 6, or would you be like, sorry, Gringotts, like time for you to leave?
No, it'd be a top 6, because it's those 5 specifically. It's not the 5. A number of sets is not what's doing it. Maybe
it's not arbitrary. It just happens that there are 5. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe it's subconscious, like just being, an engineer background and just wanting it to be a nice consistent number, like a top 5 is very common. I'm sure I could find a 6th, but like if I can't think of it right away, then it must not be, one I couldn't part with.
You can round up to 10 too. I mean, that's not that far of a jump, right? Like
that would that would be tough though. Like that next 5 would be hard to pick. So that's why I think. Okay. But those first 5 were so easy to pick. So I think that's why that's it. I guess if you gun to my head had to pick one, I think just based on display ability, it'd probably be the Avengers Tower. And all the minifigs, and just like if you're gonna have one, like that one really shines, even if it's just on its own on a shelf.
And do you display your minifigures on it, or do you display them next to
it? For sets like that, they're on it or with it.
That's something I always struggle with, and the superheroes theme in general, like Minas Tirith, for example. They don't have Gandalf jumping off. I mean, I guess you could have like Denethor jumping off the ledge, right? But that's about it. With the superhero sets, it's built. I can see Arkham Asylum behind you there over your left shoulder, and I can see there's just some minifigures in the air because they use that curved clear bar piece and stuff like that, and they integrate it into the set. Like X Mansion, for example, feels a little empty without all the action going on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's a good point. But superhero sets specifically, like if anything, I add more minifigs to it because it just makes it look even better. So if I'll get going into like I do get some custom Lego minifigs just because there's superheroes I know Lego will never make, so I'll add that. Like I have some of the Daredevil Born Again custom figures. Like I added that around the Daily Bugle, and that's why I like those sets so much, is because you can just keep adding more to it, and it just looks better to a point. I'm sure at some point it just looks like looks like Times Square around it, where there's just 1,000 people. But it's I have this minifig wall over here, which is all superheroes, but they're just the minifigs I usually get on their own, or they come in a small play set that I don't have room for. So, but I like the minifigures, so those are the ones that go on the wall. But if they come in a big display set, they're going to stay with the display set.
Well, let's talk about the current state of Lego DC. And as is tradition on this show, we try to be transparent. And I'm going to be very honest. Crypto Bricks, I have one DC set. And if you guess what set it is, I will give you my Tower of Orthanc.
So it's not an obvious one.
Oh God, what did I just sign myself up for?
Don't worry, I wouldn't. Well, I might take it. I might take you up on it, but I probably wouldn't. So
we'll see if you get it right.
So if you hadn't said that, my guess would have been the 89 Batmobile, just because I think that's one that a lot of AFOLs might have, and that might be the only DC set they have, just because it was so clean and looked great. But it's probably not that, so it's got to be a random DC. Does Lego Batman movie count?
Yes, it does. So. However, if I'm gonna give you a hint, it's not a Lego Batman movie not set.
I'm in my head, I'm going down like you must have a like random favorite DC character, and
not
I bet
even.
It's like the set that he came in or something.
It was I was at Barnes and Nobles. If I give away the year, it'll kind of ruin it. Help. Obviously, or it may help. Much. But I was at Barnes and Nobles, and I don't remember. They were just doing some random gift with purchase, and here's a hint: they had the Rogue One Battle of Scarif set there, and this was like 3 years after it had released, so it was like a year and a half after it even retired. it was the first time I'd seen a Rogue One set on a shelf in like a year at this point. And so I was just so surprised, like, oh, I guess I got to get this gift with purchase. And then so I was just kind of looking around at like other sets on the shelf, and I had to meet the threshold. So I just started kind of like, oh, I'll take this one. You know, this one's got some interesting pieces. This one does. And so that's your hint.
I wish I remembered when Rogue One came out.
2016.
Okay. And you said 3 years later?
Mm-hmm.
After it came out, so 2019. So that's got to be a Batman set then, because they didn't really.
Not necessarily.
No. 20. Well, so 2020 would have been the Wonder Woman movie set, I believe. So maybe it was 2019. I'm gonna go with that. The Wonder Woman movie.
It was the Justice League Battle of Atlantis set.
Oh, the one with Aquaman and the Atlantean guards. Yeah.
Because I really wanted the sand green masonry fix that came with it. And I think they had it on sale for like, I think it was already a pretty good deal, right? Like I'm looking at it on Brickset right now. It was, it retailed for $20. It had, I think it had 4 minifigures in it, which is pretty good for like a $20 set. And then there was like 200 pieces. So I was like, you know what? If I had to like buy a set that I don't really want, I'll just throw this one in there. In my mind, I was like, I'll just sell the minifigures, you know, it'll be fine. And then like, I think I could maybe make $20 off those minifigures now. So
I think they're about 5. I have been collecting those. Whenever I see those Atlantean guards, I will get them because I'm like, maybe someday I can make a cool Atlantis.
I used the Atlantean guards for my Helm's Deep mock. I used their legs for the Lothlorien elf armor.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah. So you've got one of them.
They're cool. Yeah.
They're good little minifigures. I mean, detailed minifigures. It's kind of like an Iron Man when you kind of you're so used to the detail on it that it's not that impressive anymore. But if you go and look at like some other minifigure, like, holy crap, there's a lot of printing on this thing.
And it's all gold. I mean, I didn't even think about it for other mock applications. Like we can turn them into any kind of armor. I remember getting that set at a used Lego store, and I think it was $20 built and used with all the minifigures. Maybe not even, maybe 15.
So that's my one DC set. So I think you are undeniably the expert here. So I wanted to kind of get your vibe check, as the Gen Zennials say, on DC. All the old people are cringing right now. All the young people are cringing right now. Nobody won because I just said that, so I do apologize. But we're gonna lean into it. We're gonna get a vibe check on DC right now. How are you feeling?
No, you're good. I'm full-hearted millennial, so I feel the same way. But I guess the joke is that Lego DC right now is Lego Batman, and this year has been, I say, an improvement over the past few. We've gotten, they've branched out a little, I think, with the Batman video game, and then it being the 20th anniversary of OG Lego Batman. So we got some cool stuff. We got the new movie Batmobiles that we'd never seen before, and was it last year we got Batman Forever. So in terms of being a Lego or just Batman fan, you know, it's you're happy. You get options. It's not overwhelming. You can collect all the Batman sets every year, and it's not going to break your budget, at least for an AFOL. I mean, the average person might think that's a lot of money, but for an AFOL, I mean, we're used to dropping money on lots of Lego sets. But like if you're just talking Lego DC, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, so we've just, the last year not getting any sets for the Superman movie just blew my mind. Like, I knew they were waiting for a big Hollywood big ticket movie
That was
to
the
come out for
opportunity,
DC.
right?
Yeah, that was it. Like, were they really concerned it was going to be too dark or just bad? Like the previous DC EU was, where the Snyderverse was a little too dark and gritty, but we got sets for those, and maybe Lego has a bad taste.
I mean, we have a Dark Knight set, and we've got the Batman 2022 set. Like,
yeah. So they've
certainly done darker.
Yeah, I guess true. So it's probably not even that. It's just like our people. It's they run the numbers. I'm sure they did market research to see how a Superman set would sell last year. Before the movie came out, before people knew if it was going to be good or not. And then this year we have the Supergirl movie, which I saw it. It was good. It had problems. I don't know why it did so poorly in theaters. It kind of was shocking how little money it made. So I bet, whoever made that decision to not make Supergirl sets is probably feeling pretty good about it. And then you've got the other DC media is all darker. I mean, you've got the Lantern show just came out this last Sunday. It's amazing. If you haven't watched it yet, it's, even if you're not a superhero or DC fan, I think you would like it, because it's more like just crime documentary, not documentary, but a crime show. So it's pretty cool. And then they've done some animated DCU shows, which are all darker as well. So I understand not getting anything for that, but I mean, slam dunk making a Superman set last year. I don't get it.
It as somebody from the outside, again, I've got one set, and I feel like I can kind of summarize the current state of DC with this one take of, the helmets, right? We've had the helmets, and there's been two helmets in the DC world. They both came out in 2021, and they're both Batman cowls. And one, I think the one is the more kind of classic, and then the one is the classic TV series, right? And so it seems like Lego just has Batman as a like pure just nostalgia bait theme right now, and DC, whereas Marvel, it feels like they're like, oh, it's more topical, but DC, it feels like they're like, oh, well, here's the 1989 Batmobile, here's the Tumbler, here's the classic TV Batcave, here's this, whatever it is. It doesn't seem like they're trying to be very current with it.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense to me, because if you look at the Marvel side, you think they would have the same approach to how they do DC to how they do Marvel. And so I always point back to the fact that the Eternals Marvel movie, I think, had 3 sets for it, had every character from the movie made in a minifigure.
5 sets?
Maybe 4. Yeah, at least 3.
Because there was 2 poly bags. There was like there was this, actually, it wasn't even a poly bag. It was a small box set, because they don't do those anymore. And I used to love the little $10 box sets, like the microfighter size. Yeah. It was Sprite and the thing, and you always saw it on clearance for like $7. And they did it for Guardians of the Galaxy as well. They had the Guardians HQ, and it was just like a wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was the only way to get Groot from Guardians 3, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had both those sets.
Yep. That's right. I think maybe when we talked to Brick World, you were at some point collecting all Marvel, if not
I
most.
have all the minifigures, asterisks. Like I had all the Marvel sets up until 2024. And then I was kind of just like, I'm tired of buying 4+ Thanos versus Iron Man for $50 just to say, like, I've done this. And so I was like, I'm at a point with my AFOL-ness that I was okay moving on from that. So I say asterisks because I had moved recently. I got to get all of my minifigures. I'm still collecting all of the minifigures. I do not have the Andrew Garfield SDCC
Oh, that's right.
$15,000 minifigure. That would be the one that and the Spider-Woman is what I'm missing. But otherwise, I would have all of them, or they're on retail, and I'm gonna, it's not that hard to go pick up like the 5 that I'm missing. So,
okay. Where were we? I lost my train of thought there. Then, Eternal.
I feel like this is turning into DC versus Marvel. Maybe we should just lean into that. I know we have episode notes.
There's just so much. There's more to talk about with Marvel, especially in the recent years. But I think there's good.
We'll have you back on. We'll talk about Marvel here in the next month or two. How about that?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah. Whenever.
Okay.
I could talk. I mean, I can talk Lego all day, and then Lego superheroes even longer. So,
can you talk for an hour and a half to 2.5 hours per week? Because I got a podcast for you. That
I definitely could. It's always funny when I come on these, and I'm just like, oh, 2 hours went by, and it's just so easy. Comes naturally. I'm very introverted too. In every other aspect of my life, but when it comes to talking Lego,
but when you get a little momentum,
just comes out.
Yep. So current state of DC.
Yeah.
Summarize it for me.
My original point, going back to that, the Eternals got 5 sets, and then a Superman movie came out in the summer, did really well in theaters, hasn't gotten anything yet that we know of.
And even Fantastic Four that came out at the same time, right? Because it came out in that same month. We got a set before the movie came out, like you traditionally would. And then a year later, we now just got Herbie. And I bet half the audience forgot that Herbie even came out in, what was that? Technically, was that July 1st? Was that a July 1st release?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have that, and I did build it. It has some unique parts. I kind of wonder if that got delayed just for...
Is that what you think?
Production reasons. Because why would they just randomly come out with it a year later? And again, and have no Superman.
Nothing for Superman. Which I think did better in the box office, right? Technically?
I think so.
Or about... I mean, they were about the same, if not.
I think Superman did better. You can check me on it, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it may be biased. But yeah, that's the current state of Lego DC is they're walking on eggshells, and Lego's only going to make sets for Batman that they know are going to sell. They're not taking any risks with the DC theme right now.
Thought you were going to say the current state of DC is Eternals got 5 sets and Superman got 0.
I mean, does that sum it up pretty well?
Yep.
But that's more a Marvel versus DC.
So let's talk a little bit about some theme data, and I've kind of lumped in DC superhero girls because if I don't, we'll probably never do an episode on that. So for all intents and purposes,
I was going to bring them up. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So obscure.
Shame on me for having a Lego nerd on the podcast and saying we're not going to get nerdy enough.
And I have a daughter that was,
awesome.
I think 4 or 5 when those came out. So.
Yeah. So average minifigures per set, 2.13. We have 271 sets. That includes poly bags. That includes kind of everything. Median MSRP is $30. Average MSRP is $52. Average price to part ratio over time is 12.7, so 12 cents and 7/10 of a penny. Median price to part ratio, however, is 11 cents. And piece count, 136, and then as your median, and then your average is 325. And when I kind of look at the data, it's interesting. There's a graph, right, from 2006 to 2026, like you said, it's the 20th year of Lego Batman. And so you've got a group of sets in 2006 to 2008, a few years off where there's just nothing, and then kind of a few steady years between 2011, 2012, and then like 2015, and then this giant explosion of sets from 2016 to 2018. And then it's like, it didn't even happen. It was like back to the status quo. And that giant spike kind of corresponds to the Lego Batman movie. And then if you looked at kind of just your R squared value, if you would, for all my geeks out there, but if you look at kind of the trend line, it would be going down from 2018 to where it is in 2016 to the point where you had 24 sets in 2018 and you now have 9 sets in 2026, 12 sets last year, 13 sets, 12, 8, 16, 13, 19. So you can see it's kind of just slowly coming back down over that time period. So I guess the data kind of puts the feelings in check there as far as there was maybe a golden era. So how would you define these eras of DC?
Oh, how would I define them? Okay. So, I mean, 2006 to 2008, original Batman. So I just have to say, like, what a swing and a miss for Lego to not remake those sets this year. Like, that they would have flew off the shelves, and if they just recreated even one of them, maybe, one of the most iconic ones. But how cool would it have been if they remade everyone with current pieces, current techniques, and just like redid the play sets and had the characters back. But anyway, like,
so would you want to see the Star Wars 20th anniversary style treatment where it's a retelling of the same set?
Yeah, so Star Wars did that, where they kind of...
Yeah, so for the 20th anniversary, like, they came out with the Slave One, the Snow Speeder, and it was just the...
Okay.
Actually, it's funny, I have them on my shelf right next to each other, because as a kid, I had the originals, so of course I got these, and I don't really collect a lot of Star Wars, but it's a really cool little display piece, because you're like, that was 20 years ago, and this is Lego now, and you're just like, huh, that looks like crap.
Yeah, but I think as a Lego fan, and probably just anyone looking at it, it shows the progress, and it would have been so cool. And I mean, they're already making Batman sets, so it's not too big of an ask. It's not like they haven't made Batman sets in 5 years, and now we want you to remake the play sets from 2006. But maybe it'll still happen. I know that wave went from 06 to 08, so maybe... it'll come, but it just seems like this would have been the year to do it. But looking back, if I could go back in time and pick up like a wave of a Lego theme that I never got and never had, that would probably be it. Just to go get all the original 06 Batman. I mean, they're very blocky, and there's a lot of studs on them, but I don't think they look bad compared to what we get in play sets, this time.
There's a certain charm to them, right?
Yeah. And the minifigures were really good. I think one of the most desired ones is like the Scarecrow with the glow in the dark head. And like the Bane from that wave, and Killer Croc, like the minifig version of him from that. Which they've made all those characters recently too, so it's not like they haven't touched them in 20 years.
Yeah.
So they could have just remade the originals, and then obviously they could have done the Star Wars treatment and included a collectible exclusive 20th anniversary figure in each set that you get and put all together. So I just don't get it with how much love Lego Batman gets on the DC side that they didn't do it, and they went with the video game tie-ins of the Batmobiles and stuff like that. So,
which is interesting because like that theme back then, that original wave or foray into DC, it was Batman. Like it's not. Yeah. Whereas today the theme is superheroes. Sub theme DC. And then it's only Batman sets. This was Lego Batman, right? Like this was Lego. It wasn't Lego DC. Batman. It was Lego Batman. So it's it's. I think too, without that, you wouldn't have had the Lego Batman movie. I don't think, because it's kind of one of those original licensed themes. You had Star Wars, and then you had Harry Potter, and then you had this license explosion, and you had Spider-Man because the Sam Raimi movies were coming out, and then Batman. And then you got Indiana Jones, and then shortly after that, you had Pirates of the Caribbean. But it was one of those, Mount Rushmore of Lego license themes, and it was the second ever Lego video game that wasn't Star Wars. And
okay.
you've got it was kind of this. If you talk about the modern era of Lego, the OG Batman sets kind of set the stage for a lot of what we see right now.
Yeah. It's just funny looking back. And I know, the last year or so, the demand for those sets have gone way up. And I always thought they were, I looked back into getting some of those old retired ones, and I thought they were too expensive a year or two ago. And now they're, 3 times that because of all the hype around them and people collecting them. And I could never go back and pay that for those old retired sets with a chance that you move the leg and it's going to crack,
And I feel like you build them and you're just like, I just spent $500 on this, and you're like, it's cool. So I've gone back and tried to find used versions of them personally. Like that's what I did with a lot of the Western sets, because a new in box Fort Laredo is like a couple grand, but you can just buy a used one for like $300, and it's only that expensive because it's sought after and because it's rare at that point, right? Because it's 20 plus years old. So I think you're wise.
Yeah,
I think you're wise.
Yeah, I'm very pro just buying used retired sets, especially if you're going to build it. I mean, and I'm going to. Like, if I get anything, either the minifigs are going to go on display or the set will get built, and we'll display the whole thing. So there's no point in paying the premium for just the experience of dumping the bags out,
cracking open a box. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have any of those sets. I haven't even really seen many in person. It would be cool to have them, but I would rather focus my finances on newer sets that with better techniques and better display and mostly better minifigures moving forward. But if I ever found a good deal for them, I would pick them up.
Absolutely. And then in 2012, we kind of get this next foray into DC, but it's DC superheroes, right? And it's alongside Marvel superheroes. And you kind of, if you had the 4-foot section in the Lego store, it was split, right? It was a kind of shared theme. And do you have any of those sets? How do you feel about those?
Yeah, I took some notes because it's hard to remember when they came out. So yeah, this was the first introduction of non-Batman DC characters, and so I think one of the first sets was the Lex Luthor mech that had the first Wonder Woman and the first Superman in it. So I have that one. I think it's back here. He's back there on the Superman shelf. So I've got that one, and then so 2012, 13, 14. I mean, there's not a lot of sets there, but they did start to branch into, like I said, non-Batman. I think there's quite a few Batman sets in there as well. But it was 2015, I think, is one of the best years for just a DC fan. And I grew up watching the Justice League cartoon on Cartoon Network, probably Justice League, then Justice League Unlimited, where they just, every episode was almost a new, there was an overarching plot, but then they would just introduce all these obscure and new to me DC characters, and it was well done. And so 2015, they came out with a lot of sets as a homage to that. I think you got like a Brainiac set that had Supergirl in it. You got the Javelin, which is the ship that they use in the Justice League that came with Darkseid and had Green Arrow. I think that's when Martian Manhunter was in the Brainiac set. So they just started really expanding then, and it, like I said, it wasn't tied to the show. It was just more comic based, but they definitely took some inspiration from the show, I think, to pick which characters were popular. And you got the Green Lantern set, I think the one with Green Lantern, Sinestro, and it, of course, had a Batman in it, but it was a space Batman. And then I pointed out the Joker Land set that had just randomly had some Teen Titans minifigures in it, a Beast Boy and Starfire. So they were just that's what I would love for it to be now. Just
more comic focused, kind of.
Yeah, more comic focused. Just doesn't need to be tied to a movie or a show. Like that way, it's not tied to the success of this movie. Which again, Superman would have been fine, but they didn't need to make Supergirl sets necessarily, or once they start getting more obscure movies. But it was just they were really just seeing what worked, I think, and I wasn't collecting back then, so I don't know if those sets were on clearance all the time or anything like that. But they've obviously gone up in value.
Yeah.
And now, because of the minifigures, and it may be the only time they've ever made them or will make characters like a Darkseid or Martian Manhunter again. So, I don't know. I'd love to see it again, even if it's just a few every year. But I don't know if kids are into that and how it would sell, and that's the bottom line.
I think this is where having these two themes together with Marvel kind of ruined the fun for DC a little bit, because if you do think from a pop culture standpoint, the MCU was starting to kind of enter its peak here, right? And before that, if you're looking on shelf in like 2012, you had the Marvel superheroes, you had the DC superheroes, and then you had Avengers movie sets. And then you had Civil War movie sets around this time. You had Age of Ultron movie sets around this time. So Marvel had kind of moved away from the comic-based sets, which ironically, like, that was the first time we got X-Men with, the only time we've ever gotten a Deadpool minifigure, and that set's worth quite a bit now, right? But at the time, you had the MCU just really kind of taking off in full swing, and so I think my guess is they probably didn't sell super well, and then you had right after this Lego Batman movie kind of start to peak its head, and then it's like, okay, so movie, we gotta focus on movies, right? And I think that kind of peaked DC a little bit at the same time.
It's kind of, that was gonna be my, I think, summary of what has happened, but I do attribute most, if not all, of what's happened to the success of the MCU versus the failure of the DC EU, and where we're at now with that. I mean, if you just look at what happened, I think the Lego Batman movie helped give it a little boost, but again, that was just specifically Batman, and then just unfortunately, I don't know what it is, if it's, families take the kids to go see a Marvel movie and they love it and they stop at Target on the way home and see a set tied to the movie, they're going to want to grab it, or just see it that weekend after. So I get that, and a lot is tied to the media that's out at the time. But, getting into, what Marvel's doing, they still do comic-based sets too. So clearly, the Marvel side, their Batman is Spider-Man, and they put Spider-Man in a set, and it's probably, little kids going to want it, and they're going to buy it. So they have the same issues on that side. I think they just take more risks on the Marvel side of the superhero theme.
While we're talking about like 2016, 2017, can I say so? Do you have any of the Microfighter sets, or the Mighty Micros?
I don't. I think my son has some of them.
Yeah.
But I've thought about going back to get them, but they're just, the minifigures are so silly.
I actually kind of like, they're kind of like a guilty pleasure for me a little bit, in a weird way. Like, they're just kind of ridiculous, and like, if you can enjoy them for how ridiculous they are, Like, and I have the Marvel ones, but like I'm looking at the Batman versus Catwoman, and it's got like this little cat go-kart thing with a little like just ridiculous version of Catwoman, and you've got one for Robin versus Bane, and it's got this like tiny version of Bane, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
If you cannot take them seriously and lean into the silliness, they're cool. They're kind of funny. I mean, so I've always secretly kind of liked them.
Yeah, I think they're great. Like Lego needs to be doing more stuff like that. It's clearly not targeted towards AFOLs. They might enjoy it for the silliness of it. But kids, like my son loves them. He loves playing with the little cars. I mean, they're tiny. They're easy to put back together if you smash them together. Like he doesn't need instructions to figure out how to put it back together and keep playing. And the minifigures I know are not valuable in any way, so it's like he can play with them and he can destroy them and throw them down the stairs, and it's not a big deal. So that is just what Lego is to me. Especially from the kids' side of it. That there should be more of that, without having to be a 4+ theme that is just overly expensive because of whatever reasoning they have behind that. The most frustrating part of those Mighty Micros, that's what they're called, right? Is that the only Doomsday DC minifigure we've gotten is in that. He's a Mighty Micro version.
That's the only version. First of all, an amazing version, because it's so,
yes.
I mean, like if you look at this thing, it's ridiculous. But it's the only version of Doomsday. Like I know who Doomsday is, and like this is the only version of Doomsday.
Yeah. I was thinking, because I was like, is there a Comic-Con one? But no, that's Bizarro.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was gonna pull them up too because I wanted to see.
Yeah, it's just the Mighty Micro, huh? Wow.
Yep. He is, his shoulder pads and hairpiece and head is hilarious.
It's got like that random like dwarf beard piece on too. Like, it just.
But yeah, one of the most like epic characters who, killed Superman in the comics. Is the only version we have of him is that one. Wow. So I thought about getting that one just to say I have a Doomsday figure, but I do not have it yet.
Yeah. So then we kind of get into the decline or the absence of non-Batman, and then we've kind of just had that ever since, right? There was some Wonder Woman stuff with the Wonder Woman movie, but then it is. I mean, I'm just the Batwing, Batmobile base, Batman cowl, classic TV series Batman car, Tumblr again, Batman, the Penguin chase, motorcycle Batman, Batcave Riddler face off, Batman versus Harley Quinn, Batmobile versus the Joker, Shadowbox. It's just another Batwing Batman versus the Joker. Another Batmobile Pursuit, Batman versus the Joker. These are all in the same year. There's 3 sets in the same year. You've got Batmobile, Batman versus the Joker, Batmobile Pursuit, Batman versus the Joker, Batwing, Batman versus the Joker, and these all came out in 2023.
Yeah, so one of those was supposed to be the Flash movie tie-in set. I don't know if you knew about that theory or leak. I don't know how official it is. But the 89 Batmobile Joker Pursuit, whatever it was, because it's nearly identical to the Batmobile that was in the Shadow Box. They changed it just slightly for, who knows, whatever reason. But that's because that set was supposed to be the Flash tie-in, and then that movie had its controversies, and they canceled it. And so that's why we got so many. And they're just like, just make it a Batman Joker set.
Throw the Joker in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's, I kind of when I was looking through them, so I know we kind of touched on 2016 to 2018, but that was really good DC comic base sets, and then you had the Lego Batman movie in there. So like just some of the great DC comic base sets. We had ones with like Katana, Killer Croc, Blue Beetle, Killer Moth, Red Hood, like Reverse Flash, just all the Lobo set came out then. Just all these like, they were just pulling characters that would be fun to put in a battle set, and they were all great. Like those are the ones I went back and got most of, because those are fun minifigures to have. Like having the Lobo one, I had to go back and get because the Crypto, the super dog, was in that Lobo set, so I obviously had to get that one.
Why is that? Crypto bricks?
Yeah. It's in the name. That's so, yeah. When I was coming up with my Instagram handle of trying to tie it to Superman somehow, and I was like, Kryptonite something, or, so I was like, what about just Crypto Brick instead of like Kryptonite? And then it also, Crypto the super dog. So had to have him as a mascot in the Lego room. And then
my real question is, did you get the 2019 Batmobile Pursuit of the Joker? Not Batman versus the Joker, but the Pursuit. It's totally different.
2019, probably not. No, because unfortunately too, the worst part of this all is like, this is when I got back into Lego, was like 2019, and that was the downfall from there. So it was like, had to go back and get so many just for the minifigs, and some of them have really cool builds, like the Javelin is right there. That's the one that comes with Darkseid and all the cool figures, and so that was very frustrating to have to go back. But they weren't terribly expensive for, like, if you compared it to now trying to go back and get them, they'd probably be 3 times what I paid. So between garage sales and Facebook Marketplace, and then a few off of eBay here and there.
And that was the good old day before everybody was, air quotes, investing in the hobby, and you could find some of these things for just pretty commonly, right? And you may have even been able to find some of them on shelves still here or there, like at a Barnes and Nobles. I mean, you just could randomly find some of these sets every once in a while. As kind of an outsider, one of the sets I think is really cool, because we've had a few like World War II style biplanes before, but you've got the Wonder Woman Warrior Battle, and it comes with, I don't actually know who the character is, but it's not the brick built characters that we see today, like the upscale figures, but it's more of like that Ant-Man from the Civil War style of figure. And I don't know who that character is, but it looks really cool. It's a half-sized up scale figure, and that set just kind of stood out to me as like somebody from the outside of like just a cool set.
Yeah, I don't have that one. That must have been a limited production. Maybe it was only on shelves for 6 months to a year, because I have never seen anyone selling that on Facebook.
Good call. It was exactly 6 months.
Yep. It's just I can tell, how long some of these sets have been out. And I'm guessing it has Ares in it, is the villain from the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, it's got the giant like wolf mask or something, or bone mask thing. Yeah.
God of War, is that Ares? And so
I believe Ares. Yeah.
That's one that definitely fell off my radar. I didn't even see it when I was going through the list. Just it's clearly the 6 month shelf life is very noticeable when you're going back to buy retired sets. And just nobody has it. There weren't enough of them to even sit on shelves and get clearanced out. So it's like only the people who really wanted them have them. So that's funny. But yeah, it was. I think it's hard to choose between 2012 to 2015 versus 2016 to 2018. Now kind of looking back, I think 2016 to 2018, just because of the great builds that and minifigures from the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
So
do you think that kind of ruined Batman a little, or DC too, because there was so much hype around specific, like seldom does Lego just do a tie-in like that deep into something, right? Where you had 2 CMF series of Lego Batman, right? You had, was it 2? No, maybe it was just 1, but
no, it was 2.
It was 2, right? Okay, yeah. So you had 2, and then you had like
Bricktober pack in the middle.
Yeah,
a Toys R Us one. Yeah,
and you had like, I was looking at the data. It's like 53 sets came out that year. That is Star Wars level. That is not. That is not like just a Lego theme. That is a kind of billboard-esque Lego theme of a lean-in by the Lego company. And so if you kind of look ever since then, with the DCEU kind of also kind of just petering out, like it's Batman. If it doesn't have Batman, it's not going to sell. Let's just replicate what we did over here. This is all people associate with Lego DC as Batman. Do you think that could be kind of some of the issue?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It seems, kind of the opposite of that Wonder Woman set. They must have made a lot and put a lot into the Lego Batman movie sets, because they're easy to find. Like they're everywhere. I mean, not to say they're cheap to pick them up, but like those are all ones like that will pop up on Facebook Marketplace all the time, and there's plenty of them for sale. It's just people have learned that the minifigures are valuable now, and so they're charging for it. But yeah, Lego must have invested a lot. I mean, it's a big picture movie. After, they had the Lego movie, obviously, and then I bet they didn't know how well that was going to do, and it did very well. It was amazing. It got a lot of people into Lego just in general. So they had that example before with the Lego movie. So then they go do Lego Batman movie that has all these characters that people already know, and then they're Lego-fying them. So they went all in on that. I wonder if they maybe went too much, and the budgets were probably really high. Maybe they weren't charging enough at the time, because like the retail prices, if you go back and look for those sets, are all pretty reasonable, and almost each one has exclusive, like really detailed minifigures. So that was, I think, like almost an investment to just get people to keep joining in and getting into Lego. Like I don't think they were necessarily trying to just make a lot of money. They were just going all in to get new fans, and I don't know if it worked. I think they maybe spent too much, because like I said, those sets were everywhere and were probably on sale a lot just because they had such high quantities. And then afterwards, maybe they had to pull. I don't know how it works. Maybe they had to pull budget from future years to the superhero theme. I just, there's so much that could go into it, but it just does seem weird. Like something must have happened to where juice wasn't worth the squeeze, and they had to back off a little bit and focus other places. And maybe they just got enough new Lego fans that they're like, all right, let's start investing in other things now to keep the people who came to Lego here.
It's funny because I think the opposite happened in a non-obvious way. So I remember, famously, like, right, 2003, Lego almost goes bankrupt. Bionicle comes along, they save the day, they come back, they cut a bunch of the colors, they cut a bunch of the specialized pieces. They're like, hey, we're producing too many colors, we're producing too many pieces, it's too expensive, we need to simplify. They actually did that again in 2019, 2018, 2017.
Oh,
they came back, and I remember reading an article, because Lego does their earning report every year, and it was Lego in the recent years has had 2 major booms. The first was the Lego movie, and the second was COVID. right? And so you have two groups of AFOLs. You've got three groups. Got the AFOLs who weren't too cool for school and never got out of it as kids, right? And they just stayed along. And then you got people like me, people like yourself who came along before COVID, and it was kind of closely after the Lego movie. Lego movie I saw in theaters, and I was like, huh, got me thinking about it a little bit more, right? And then you had COVID people. And so at that time, though, I remember reading an article in the earnings report. I believe it was the 2018 or 2017 earnings report being like, hey, we have had continuous growth year over year, but this is the first year that we were flat. And they specifically said we're producing too many one-off items. They're doing that again, by the way. If you look at the number of unique pieces per year, we had just talked about it on the Lego Hair episode. They're doing it again. The difference, though, is I think what you see now is they're not afraid to price a set differently. Whereas before, they were more focused on, okay, let's make it affordable. Now they're saying, if you guys want Zelda, great. It's going to be $300 for the Deku Tree. And it's going to not have a great price-to-part ratio. But if you want that specialized mold, if you want the specialized sword, the specialized printed shield, if you want all these things, that's how we're going to have to do it. And I think that's why you see Lego continuing to have success, whereas they didn't before. But yes, there was a specific quote back then of them saying, we need to pare this back down. And that's why they did the Lego movie too. They really leaned in with it, and they didn't have the same number of sales that they had from the original Lego movie. And I think they started paring it down because, like, kind of to a counterpoint of the Lego Batman movie, I look at some of these sets and I'm like, Lego had fun with these. Like, this is Lego. You know what I mean? It's a theme of an established theme, but they're like the Justice League, and it's the DJ party, right? And there's a dance floor, and you got Arrow here. You've got is that Crypto, and there's a couple other characters, and it's a DJ booth, and there's some Batman spinning disc on there, and lights, and a dance floor. And it's like, what is this? This is Lego. you know what I mean? It's like you've got some of these just like the Joker Manor. This is the Lego Batman movie Joker Manor. Like, this has got to be one of the best versions of the Joker Manor out there too. Like, it feels like they had a lot of fun with these sets, these Lego Batman movie sets. There's a lot of heart here. There really is. And so it's almost like they leaned too far in with Lego Batman during this time, and maybe started to be like, ooh, maybe these sets didn't sell quite as well. Because I remember 2017, it was not an anomaly to see like, oh, I'm going to go to Target and I'm going to go pick up a Rogue One set, and then there's just a wall of Lego Batman movie sets, specifically because of that yellow black box. Yep. And it was always in stock. Maybe they were doing a sale, and it was like that for about a year or two.
Okay. And that's what I was wondering, what it looked like on shelves at that time, because I wasn't going down the Lego aisle quite yet, especially, and wasn't looking at, non-Harry Potter stuff at that time. So yeah, that's what I think, they either overproduced or they just didn't sell as well as they thought. But those sets had to, like, almost everyone, like I said, had a exclusive figure, and they weren't just, basic minifigures. You have like the Big Fig Killer Croc that is like a super custom special mold with like it has like the same finger pieces as the Rancor does that clips on. You have the special Big Fig Bane. You have like one of the most detailed like Poison Ivies, and they came in one set, and that was it. And so they produced all these special parts and pieces for a single set. And, some of them were only $30, $40 on the shelves. And I don't know if they just were making it. Like, I think it was more, they looked at it more as a advertisement budget for them going to see the movie maybe, and make all these amazing sets that people would see. And then they want to go see the movie, versus now it's like, okay, does the movie do well? That's going to help us sell the sets, instead of, the other way around.
Well, here's some content that somebody needs to create, and you probably can't unless you have a time machine. But I would love a 2 times a year Lego aisle check-in, where it's just like just a video of somebody walking through the Lego aisle, just filming it. Just because like I don't know if you've ever seen the meme that's like. I forget the exact year, but it's like at one point, The Office, the Parks and Rec, Community, and I think it was Friends, something like that. Like we're all on TV at the same time. Like that was the NBC lineup, and it was like there was a year in time where you could watch all 4. Like they were all airing at the same time, and it was like this was peak sitcom television. And I would just love to be able to walk through the Lego aisle in a certain time period. Like maybe do April and September of every year from now until like 2000. Like that would just be so cool. But I'll try to do my best to kind of paint this picture. So, and you're walking down the Lego aisle. It's 2017. You've got 2 sections. You've got the left side has got your Star Wars. There's no Harry Potter at this time. You got your city. You've got a lot of city stuff. You've got a lot of this newer theme called Friends. You got a couple of Friends sub themes there with like DC superhero girls, Powerpuffs, and on the right side you've got Lego's kind of original stuff. You've got some Marvel stuff too mixed in. You've got some DC stuff here or there, but you've got the Lego Batman movie. It's got a giant yellow stripe on it with a brick-built bat logo that's very obvious. You have the Lego Ninjago movie sets. You've got this theme called Chima that's on clearance because it did not do well enough to replace Ninjago, and they're sitting on 2 years of inventory that just never sold. Right next to another theme called Nexo Knights, which was Lego's first attempt to get back into classic castle with a twist since 2008. It's also not selling well. And then, so that's kind of and then you got this little aisle called Creator Expert, which is for the creepy guys that don't shower or have kids that come down the Lego aisle, right? So it was a very different time for Lego back then, and I kind of feel like they maybe over leaned in with the Lego Batman movie a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just picturing that in my head of like you could glance at that aisle and you could see the different color zones based on like what your interest was, whereas now you go down it and I mean I think
half
like
of the
Star
aisle's
Wars
a black box, right?
Yeah, and even the play sets that are not, it's still a boring like either blue or black or gray box, and it just has like the character in the corner. Like the Star Wars ones will have like, don't they have, the Mandalorian sets have Mandalorian and Grogu on there, and then Harry Potter still has the original 3 from when they were what they looked like in probably the 5th movie on the boxes, and it's you can't, and I guess maybe that's a good thing because you don't, they want boys and girls to play and build all the sets and not just tailor Friends and City for one or the other. But yeah, it's just they've lost that. Like even that would be the interesting thing to see if you had a time lapse of it 2 times a year, every year, to see the colors just mute on the Lego aisle over time.
Yeah, I had that kind of realization. I was at the Pick a Brick Wall one day because, I'm a nerd. I'm sitting there stacking bricks perfectly to get as many as possible. And there's some guys just dumping bricks in, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, you can probably get like twice as many bricks in there if you do this." And he's like, "Whoa, what?" So he just starts clicking them together, and I look up, and I just the left side of the entire Lego store is just black box, the whole thing, because it's all for AFOLs, And so it was a different time back then. It really was.
Yeah, and I've brought that, just the Lego store issue, up with people now. It's I don't know how big. You said you had a newer reopened Lego store. Did they expand the size of it?
It's actually smaller.
Okay, that's
which
surprising,
is really because it wasn't a big Lego store in the first place. And so it's their newer concept though. So the Pick a Brick Wall has got the clear, totally clear bins, and it's not on the back of the store. It's on the side wall. So it's like any of the newer stores. in the last few years have this model, so they like did a refresh of the store.
Okay. I'm just surprised to hear it's smaller, because like a lot of the ones I go to, they're still the old style, and they're, a small little store in the mall, and anything older than, maybe 2 releases, they might not even have it on shelves anymore. They just don't have the space to keep the current inventory up. And so that's just what I was wondering, how they're going to go about it. I mean, I know store space, retail space is a premium now, and most people buy online, so maybe it does make sense to just have the best sellers in the store and the new releases, and anything else. It's always funny when I ask in a store and they're like, you can order it online, you want me to do it for you? And I was like, no, I got it. I think I can handle it.
You said www. Why do you have to put www? Oh, World Wide Web. Oh, that's what that stands for. I thought it was a nuisance.
Yeah, can I pay by check on there though?
Yeah. How do I? A debit card. Interesting. Yeah. Will you guys steal my information though? So I think let's just kind of focus back on DC real quick. We're going down the nostalgia train. Sorry about that, but it's important because I think we talk about like the peak of DC being 2017. We had to kind of talk about the shelf back then, right, and kind of what it looked like. But I think some of the things that we've outlined in this conversation, the positives, right? What I have seen is a broad selection of minifigures, specifically Batman, but we do have some kind of one-off minifigures that I think you were lucky enough to kind of get some of your hands on, right? But they don't really. It's maybe more of a mixed benefit because they've done some of these things. But like, when was the last time they got a crypto dog? 2017, right? Like it's not. Yeah, not often.
Well, they had the DC superhero girls had one. The Friends mini doll version of crypto. Yeah, and then I think 2015 or 16 was the, I don't know, minifigure version, but it's still a, molded animal.
They've had a bajillion Batmobiles, which on the positive means they've had, they know their Batmobile. Like, they're not bad when they come out with them. They're really good. Like, they're very, very solid. You mentioned too, maybe they haven't leaned into the dark side, but they have in some areas, right? Like there's something else going on that's kind of stopping them from leaning into these things. But we did have the Nolan Batman, right? We did get some of that stuff. Video games have been great. What are some of the other positives that we've kind of talked about as far as like the current state of DC goes?
Yeah, I mean, they seem to still keep the range of some play sets. This year they had the 3 new Batmobiles kind of tied in with the video game, and all with new minifig versions of those, movie versions of the characters. They did the Batman bat symbol that had the gold, anniversary Batman. So I guess they did do an anniversary figure. I did forget about the gold version of him as for the 20th anniversary and for the game. And then, I mean, clearly they're doing display sets well. And I do think people forget about, we got Arkham, a modular DC, of course, Batman, but they did a great job on this. I know people, just like with everything, price is maybe a little higher than it should have been, but it came with, 10 minifigures at least. Some of them were just jumpsuits with a new head, and then some of them are just guards, but which is cool though, because
we don't get a proper jumpsuit like that in Lego City. You get your classic robber. You don't get your you don't get a criminal. You know what I mean? You get a burglar. You don't get like this dude's in here for something bad.
Right. And so many complained about that, but I was like, they have to be. You're just going to get all the villains in Arkham Asylum, and no, none of them are in Arkham. They're just all there hanging out. It had a cool side bill, had a vehicle, and this is the first time that. Are you a modular collector too? I don't know.
I
'cause
have
I don't know
every
that about you.
modular, and I have all
Okay.
of the. Oh, by the way, my Lego room for those on YouTube actually goes all the way over into that other room there. So
Okay.
there'll be a tour at some point. I'm still unpacking some boxes.
Nice. Yeah, so I don't know for sure, but is this the first inverted corner modular they've ever done? Where it has like an
Inverted
entry,
corner, yeah.
because you've got like the boutique hotel is a corner. I don't
It
know,
was
whatever the opposite of
before.
that is.
Yeah, it was before. Because the mechanic shop, the Ninjago City workshops, was inverted, but maybe technically that was a few months before Arkham, but yes, very unique nonetheless.
So yeah, they gave us something. I think, even if you're not a DC fan, a city builder that loves modulars, it looks great. I'm not a modular collector. I have all the superhero ones, and I've got Gringotts is technically modular compatible, I think, and that's a corner. But yeah, like I do think some stuff gets overlooked. I guarantee this will have the same effect that the shadow box did when it retires. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, that was so cool! Why didn't I get that?" And it's gonna go up in value. So I don't know if there's just. You would think we would be grateful with what we get, and I usually am. And I picked up Arkham right away, but there was just a lot of kind of towards it. And then, even though it's like the only thing we're getting besides a Batmobile, every year, and little play sets and things. I think the the Skyline, the animated series Skyline, I have that one. I think that had pretty good. I guess my bias is always, it's hard to read how other people think. Like, I'm always excited about it to get something that's not a Batmobile and that has cool DC minifigures in it. So like, I know I'm going to get it, but like, does the more average AFOL going to enjoy it? But I've seen a lot of people kind of kicking themselves. They didn't get the Skyline before it retired, and now
I thought
it's gone
the
up in
Skyline was
value.
very cool. Yeah.
It looks great. It's probably, I think it's one of the best 3D art pieces they've done, and they gave us the minifigures. But I'm hoping they continue on with the animated series and give us more sets there, because we got the one Batmobile and then the Skyline, and then they're just like, that's it.
That's all you get.
Yeah. This is one of the most beloved DC animated shows ever, but we'll just give you the two and walk away from it for a while. So there's promising things happening. It's just kind of sprinkled in there, and we just don't get very much, and it's always Batman related. But I think good things are happening, and they're just going to do maybe less of it to keep us happy and see how it goes. But I will.
Would you say those are some of the negatives then?
The amount that we're getting?
Yeah, like not enough sets. It's not the right set. Like when you're only getting a few sets a year and they do another Batmobile, is your reaction like,
yeah,
another Batmobile? Or is it like, oh, cool, we don't have this Batmobile yet. This is great. Because like, if you're only getting 5 sets a year, if one of those 5's a remake, you're kind of like, well, I've been collecting Lego for 10 years now. Like, we only got 4 sets this year,
Yeah, like I think they're doing a good mix. Obviously, the new Batman Returns Batmobile that they're coming out with is very similar to the '89 Batmobile. It's a little smaller, and it only comes with the one figure. So I am curious why they didn't throw in some new ones to get those like me who already have the '89 Batmobile to pick that up immediately. I mean, I probably will get it, because I guess what they threw in there was the functionality where it can turn into the Bat missile from the movie. So you can display that one with the '89 and display it in the different mode to give it some, where it doesn't just look like a smaller version of the older one. But I will say I was disappointed. I think this year for superheroes in general was a little disappointing because the two big sets we got for Marvel and DC was a Helicarrier, which was a remake of a big set from 10, 11 years ago.
Which I don't think needed remaking, but that's just me.
No. But, they did throw in the good minifigures to make us get it. And then, the Batman Returns Batmobile, which a lot of people say the 89 Batmobile is one of the best sets ever made, and how it comes together. And I definitely agree with that. I'm just more of a minifigure scale fan. So if my top 5 sets were all minifigure scale buildings. So that's what I would prefer. So this year, just having a couple the big sets be remakes is a little disappointing. But I don't think they're doing that consistently, and I think next year we'll see some new stuff that'll get people excited again. If you've been collecting a while, and then for the new fans, obviously they want to appease them, and there's a lot of people who never got their hands on the 89 Batmobile, and so they can pick up this one. It's similar enough and similar price point to what the old one was, and keeps everybody happy.
Yeah, but when everybody's happy, nobody's truly happy, right? So I do have a kind of last thought here to end on. It may open up a whole other discussion, so we'll see. But you said you're a Harry Potter fan, so I think you'll kind of understand the sentiment when I ask this. Would you rather DC be in a Lord of the Rings situation or a Harry Potter situation, as we in the past couple months have talked about both of those themes and the current state of them? For the listeners to kind of catch you up on those episodes, Lord of the Rings is you get one very good set every year. It's a religious experience. It is a creme de la creme experience as far as sets go. Great minifigures. It's an event. Literally, they do a store event when it comes out. You walk into that store that weekend and they're playing Lord of the Rings music. It is awesome. And you get a couple of smaller sets. You trickled here and there. You're left wanting more. Or the Harry Potter experience where you've got this Back to Hogwarts event for a set that is good but not great. It's the adult set for the year, and you've got play sets galore, but you're getting a Fort Angela every year. You're getting some reference to the Harry Potter chess scene. You're getting these items. You're getting another, was it Aragog, the spider set? You're getting these repeats where it's like, we just had this 5 years ago, but it's a continuous cycle of smaller play sets. Maybe better, maybe just a different take on it. What would you rather see for DC?
It's tough because you could look at it from a couple different angles. I'll say as myself, and just thinking about me selfishly, an AFOL who loves DC, I would prefer the Lord of the Rings route. Just get the most epic, perfect set that they know everybody's going to love, have no complaints, gives every minifigure that should be with that set, and done really highly detailed. And it's an experience. It's something to look forward to. You know it's coming. And they make a whole event out of it. From the side of me being a dad with a daughter and a son who I want both of them to be into Lego. My daughter's getting a little older now, but my son, he likes watching all the superhero stuff with me, likes reading comics, and I like him having the options for small play sets and mechs and 4+ or just smaller 5+ sets that he can do whatever he wants with and play with them like it's meant to be, and get see those characters and get excited about it. So sharing the hobby with him, I like that side of it. And also, me being the one buying him the sets, I don't want to have to buy him a $400 Minas Tirith type set,
$600,
or however much that was, $600.
$600
to be able to play. If we were both into something like that together. So the mix, I think, works better for me right now. And from the Harry Potter versus DC side of it, I mean, DC has so much more to pull from. Harry Potter has 8 movies that they just keep redoing scenes over and over and over and over again.
Makes it hurt a little bit more though, right? When you do get the rehash, right?
Yeah. So I guess on the DC side, when they just keep, this is the 92 Batmobile, it's not the 89 Batmobile, but still.
Yeah.
It's that I definitely don't want more remakes. So, that's why I think that my final answer, I guess, would be the Lord of the Rings, because everybody, besides not getting enough and not getting more affordable sets, all the Lord of the Rings fans are very happy. And then it would be, it's probably even easier to kind of budget for the year, just knowing there's going to be one big set. If you're only a Lord of the Rings fan, it's pretty easy to collect Lord of the Rings Lego. You just wait for it to come out and save up all year and get the one set, and you're good to go until next year, probably.
I'm going to throw you with an intentional curveball here, because on both of those episodes, we talked about how they're both nearly perfect in their own right. Like, okay. Lord of the Rings is 2 battle packs and 1 play set a year away from being literally perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, if you could get an Easterling battle pack and an Uruk-hai battle pack, or a Rohan soldier battle pack, and then you get whatever, Osgiliath ruins or the doorsteps of Mount Doom, so you can get a couple of refreshed minifigures out into the market. Like, I think if DC were in this current state where maybe you were getting a bat whatever maybe it's a bat wing, a Batmobile, a replica of his bat gun, or what have you every year, but you were also getting a new modular every year, and you got the Daily Planet, you got something from Metropolis, I don't know what other modulars you could do in DC, but
like a LexCorp.
Yeah, like if you could have like just maybe 3 non-Batman DC sets a year, I think you'd be so happy, right? Whereas Harry Potter, again, like Ministry of Magic just came out, like I think it's a little bit of a swing and a miss, but it's not far off from being really good. Like, it could be if it were a little bit bigger for that same price. I think it'd be fine. But you get your adult set, you get your play sets. It's just there are a lot of remakes. You get your 17th version of the Hogwarts Castle. Like, the footprint is there in that case. It's just what's being executed isn't. In Lord of the Rings, what's being executed is there, but the footprint isn't. So it's almost like they're both perfect in their own right. And I think DC, like, if you had 3 or 4 non-Batmobile sets and you had your established, like, whatever Batmobile you were going to get that year, or Bat Gadget, we'll call it, and then your other kind of adult focus set, like the Skyline, like a Daily Planet, like a LexCorp, like a whatever, like, that'd be super cool.
Yeah. And they're totally different media and markets and fan bases, Lord of the Rings versus Harry Potter. So it makes sense that they would do it differently. But yeah, it's just the number of Batmobiles is comical. I would rather they go the Marvel route and just do mechs. That way they can give you some random villain and a random hero, and there you go. Like, they just did another mech build that, they're probably, Lego could crank those out, no problem. They're pretty simple builds. The core of it's always the same, and just give us new minifigures, and those be the small play sets, and throw in a vehicle every once in a while that makes sense, and then give us the big modulars. If we didn't get Arkham last year, I'd be worried about the future of superhero modulars, because we had Daily Bugle, Avengers. It was Daily Bugle, then Sanctum Sanctorum, then Avengers Tower, then X-Mansion, and then Arkham.
Yeah.
And so, there's definitely been, since Avengers Tower, that peaked both physically in height and I think in hype around the fan base. But like I said, don't sleep on Arkham if you're a modular fan and you somewhat like superheroes. I think you'll be very happy with the build and how it looks, and that's what I'll say about it. But yeah, like I said, if we didn't get that, I think if we had X Mansion and then nothing, that would have been a bad sign, because X Mansion is too small. Like, I'll admit that, but we got the X-Men minifigures that they have never made before. So
yeah, I would love to. What I wish is if I could have my own way, which is not ever the case, but I can pretend. I would love to see a Marvel modular, and then the next year DC, and then the next year Marvel, and then the next year DC. Selfishly, as a Lego fan, that just gives you, because I only collect the Marvel, so like it would just give me a year to breathe, and then that way because there's so much other Lego, like, but like you're a superhero fan, like it would just be a nice little mixture of the two versus just all on one side, and you can feel like they're both getting love. But
yeah, and we seemed like we were going that route, and then this year happened, and we got a helicarrier and another Batmobile. So that just means they must have something really great cooking up for next year. Something's
cooking. All right, well, I think that about wraps our conversation today on the current state of DC. Kevin, appreciate having you on. Check out Crypto Bricks on Instagram or YouTube. It'll all be linked below, and I'd love to continue this conversation with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, and I enjoyed going down the tangents and little side discussions, and also talking Lego DC. So appreciate you having me on.
Anytime. Brick Mail. All right, again, thank you to Crypto Bricks for the robust conversation on DC. As I mentioned, we will continue this conversation in the near future and talk about the current state of Marvel. And then we will finish the conversation by kind of pitting both of them head to head. There was a lot of thoughts that I wanted to get into today that I didn't necessarily get into, because we will share that for the future when it is more kind of relevant to the overall episode. But thank you again, Crypto Bricks. Give them a follow on Instagram or check them out on YouTube. Outside of that, Kat, why don't you take us away with our first Brick Mail?
My name is Nick, and my wife and I are both AFOLs. I don't think Lego is losing its creativity? ? But I agree with you that they are leaning harder into display sets versus play sets. With the new Lord of the Ring leaks, I genuinely worry about having sets coming out soon and just being not only for display, but also expensive. Overall, I'd love to see original themes come back, or even a castle revival and less licensed sets. I know I'm in the minority on this, but still. Side note, I know you're not hurting for guests on your podcast, but if you want, I'd love to join. I'm a voiceover actor who is media trained and a Lego lover. Cheers. Aw, thank you, Nick. That's super cool. I would love to hear more about voiceover acting. That's an interesting one. And yes, I do agree with the more IPs they start to get into, the more they can kind of make those bigger sets that are going to be display only and also probably expensive. So that is a way that they're leaning, I feel. But they could always make a comeback of some original themes. Castle is really cool. I would love to see that come back as well. They did a castle not too long ago, right?
Yeah, but they're not doing proper. They kind of keep trickling it in. They're teasing us. They're not like
testing the waters,
fully doing it. Yeah, because like Lions and Knights sold pretty well. Like,
yeah, I thought it looked nice.
I've got it right there. But what we really needed with that was like a Black Falcon's outpost too. Like, they used to do this like cool waves. They've not done a proper castle wave, or it comes through Bricklink Designer Program, which is cool. Some of them are really cool, like that Dusk Mantle. The new Desert Keep with the serpents was excellent. But those Bricklink Designer Program sets are harder to get, and Castle should not necessarily be something that's rare. It should be something that's super accessible and easy, because you want to make a giant realm like I don't know, if they did like a proper castle set wave again, like I feel like Lego cities are becoming less and less popular as I think more and more people just kind of get the sets and put them out there. Like maybe it's just the content. Maybe I'm just not seeing it as much on YouTube anymore. But if you could do like a proper medieval city wave, I think that would be cool, where it's like, back in the day, some of those sets that they had was like the jousting tournament or the knight's table or something like that. That stuff was cool. Like they just had an archery cart or proper, like, here's a $20 specific scene. Here's a $30 jousting tournament. Here's a $40, I guess, mead hall. You'd probably call it something else, market hall, whatever, but cheesery, whatever you wanted to call it. Here is this outpost. Here is this forward outpost. Here is this pavilion. Like, you could do so many cool things, and I think make a true world. Whereas, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be narrative driven like a lot of Lego themes. Like, I think a lot of castle people would just be happy with just kind of a ubiquitous assortment of castle stuff that you could use for mocks or something like that. But alas, I've been saying that for like 6 years. So
yeah.
And Nick, I will reach out for sure on that. But it would be very interesting to have you on the show for sure. But yeah, the Lord of the Rings stuff, it's a lot of, if we look at specifically what we've gotten versus talking about leaks, even, I don't think anything's changed with the leaks as compared to what we have been getting. It's larger sets. It's, I was going to build an Osgiliath mock for Brickworld, and I decided to do something else in the meantime because I knew Minas Tirith was coming out in June. I was like, I don't want to have to buy like a bunch of Gondor soldiers for $30. But realistically, they're probably going to only go down to $25. Like, we need some other stuff, right? That's not just these one-off display sets. So I agree. I do think it's interesting that there's so many licensed sets out there. I wish they would split icons, or just, I wish there was a better balance. Right. I actually like what they're doing in the world of licensing right now, where it's like, here's your one X-File set. We don't need a full wave of X-File sets, right? Here's your Dune set. We don't need a full wave of Dune sets. Here is your Shrek set. I think all that stuff is fine. I think where it hurts is it's that, and then you get these big evergreen themes. It's like, here's your 25 Harry Potter sets this year. Here's your 25 Marvel sets this year. Here's your 25 Jurassic Park sets this year. Here's your 50 Star Wars sets. Like, everything is licensed. Like, these one-off licenses, I think, work better than just having a full wave of them. But I'd like to see, like, get rid of Sonic, get rid of some of these other stuff, and like fill that space, not with licenses, but some more original themes, right? So I think there's a balance, and I think they're not making it right now. And that is a wrap of another episode of AFOLs Welcome. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to this show. If you'd like to write the podcast, please email us at afolswelcome@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram or TikTok at AFOLs Welcome. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.